In today's video, I'm going to be going over how to find the perfect sensitivity for you in Fortnite. The truth is, there is no best sensitivity, it's all personal preference. That's why every pro uses a different sensitivity. If it was as easy as just telling you this is the best sense, then number one, I wouldn't be making this video, and number two, everyone would use the same sense. I'm going to try my best to give each and every one of you a personalized sense that should fit your playstyle and set up perfectly. Let's get right into it. Before we get into the video, I just want to give a quick shout out to Pythonu for suggesting this video. I'm so sorry if I pronounced her name wrong. If you guys have any suggestions or just want me to make a video on something, feel free to comment down below. You could get a shout out in the next video. Okay, so you're probably asking yourself, how exactly do I find the right sense for me? You may have checked your favorite streamer's sense and then asked your friend what his sense is, and they may have given you two completely different answers, and that's because, like I said, it's all personal preference. Now that doesn't mean you can just pick a random sense and get used to it, and it definitely doesn't mean that sensitivity doesn't matter. It just means that you need to find the sense that's going to work for you, and to do that, we're going to load up some creative. So I'm now on a private creative island, and I'm going to be showing you guys a technique that myself and many others have used to find our sense. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to place a wall directly in front of you, and you're going to want to put your reticle over top of where it says edit. For me it's F, for you it might be E or something else. After that, you're going to want to move your mouse to the far left side of your usable mouse pad space. Now what I mean by usable space is if you have a mouse pad that covers your entire desk, don't put your mouse all the way to the end of it. It should be in a spot that you move your mouse around in while you're playing. Your arm should be comfortable, it shouldn't be bent in some weird way. Hopefully that makes sense. So once you have it on the left with your reticle still on the edit bind, you're going to want to move your mouse all the way to the right side of your usable mousepad space. Again, don't move it to a spot where you don't use while playing. Take note of how many 360s or turns you did when moving it from the far left to the far right. For most of you, it'll probably be between 2 and 3. Now here comes the tricky part. You're going to want to adjust your sense to make it to where you do 1.5 turns when doing that motion. So if you did 3 turns, you can just cut your sense in half. If you did 2 originally, lower it a little bit, and if it's not enough, you can just lower it a little more. And that sense that you just got is going to be the average sense for your mousepad space. I'm going to guess for most of you, it's going to feel so slow and you're immediately going to want to raise it back up. Fight the urge. I don't know why, but most new keyboard and mouse players plan an insanely high sense because they want to get super fast mechanics and they think that a fast sense correlates to fast building. It definitely does not. When I started playing, I played on about 4 times the sense I play on now. And when I first did this trick, I could not stand it. My arm was hurting. I couldn't even edit one build, but I'm so glad I stuck with it. I play on a really low sense right now, 2.9% 1600 DPI, and I still have really fast mechanics. I kinda got off topic there, but what I was trying to say was going off of that sense you got, you can either raise it or lower it depending on how it feels. Just don't lower it to the point where you do less than 1 turn or more than 2 turns when doing that trick. I would recommend free building with the original sense, and a neat little trick I do is if you lowered your sense a lot and you really can't stand it, lower it even more. So if you went from 8% down to 5%, free build on 5% for a little bit, and then lower it down to 4%, and free build on that for around 10 minutes. Then go back to 5%, and because you got used to 4%, 5% is going to feel like your old sense. That's a lot of percents, but I hope you guys understood that. I'm now going to move on to some general tips, stuff that is just as important as actually finding your sense, so don't click off the video yet. Once you find a sensitivity that you like, stick with it. Some days you might hop on and it might feel really slow even though you didn't change it. Some days it might feel really fast, and the worst thing you can do in that scenario is to change your sense day by day to make it feel right. The more you stick with a sense, the less that's going to happen and the more consistent your aim and mechanics are going to be. It might still feel a little different day by day, and that's because of your mouse pad. Some mouse pads glide differently depending on the temperature in the room, and even if it's only a few degrees hotter or colder, it could feel differently. If that's really affecting you, I would just recommend getting a better mouse pad if you can, but if you can't, just know that the more you play in a sense, the more comfortable you're going to get with it. Another really important thing with sensitivity is DPI. If you were paying attention to what my sense is, I actually play on 1600 DPI, and believe it or not, changing your DPI has a huge impact on your game. If you don't know, DPI stands for dots per inch, and it's essentially how fast your mouse moves around your monitor. A higher DPI obviously means it's going to be moving faster. Most people play on either 400 or 800 DPI, but raising it up to 1600 actually creates less stutters because it registers faster, making movements more smooth. It's very important though that if you change your DPI, you have to change your sense. If you go from 800 to 1600 DPI, your sense is going to be twice as fast, and if you go from 400 to 1600, it's going to be 4 times as fast. The way to fix this is just to half your sense if you're doubling your DPI, and quarter your sense if you're quadrupling your DPI. For some examples, if you play on 400 DPI 16%, then you would change to 1600 DPI 4%, 6% and 800 DPI would be 3% and 1600 DPI. If you don't want to do any math, I totally understand that. Just leave a comment down below with your sense and DPI and I can do the calculations for you. If you're not sure what your DPI is, just Google DPI settings for your particular mouse. Most mice have a color for each different DPI, or you can just look at the software for that company. If you have a Razer mouse, download the Razer software. If you have a Glorious mouse, download the Glorious software, etc. It should show you on there. That's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have questions about anything I talked about in this video, feel free to comment down below. I'll try to help you out if I can. With all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.